How do you communicate with a person who claims that communicating with a recently loved one causes anxiety and panic attacks? I.e., how can the causer of panic attacks communicate with the victim of panic attacks without causing her suffering? This question, it's just incredibly raw and so difficult. It really gets to the heart of a situation where your best intentions might be causing more pain. So, how do we navigate this? Well, it isn't about finding some sort of magic words. It's about taking a step back and adopting a whole new psychological approach. Let's explore a way to communicate with true empathy and care. Okay, the very first and most critical step here is a huge shift in perspective. Our first instinct is always to ask, what can I say to fix this? But a much more effective starting point is to stop focusing on your words and instead to truly try and understand the other person's reality. This isn't about you, it's about their experience of safety. And that brings us to a really important concept, the trauma response. You have to understand that anxiety and panic attacks, they are not a conscious choice. They're an involuntary physiological reaction. The body is basically screaming danger, even if the logical part of the brain knows that might not be true. Thinking of it as a threat response and not as a personal rejection of you is absolutely key to depersonalizing this whole situation. And this right here, this illustrates the core problem perfectly. It's what we call the gap between intention and impact. Your intention might be beautiful. You want to connect, you want to apologize, you want to resolve things. But for the person who's experiencing that trauma response, the impact of your attempt feels like pressure. It can trigger panic, and it reinforces that feeling of being unsafe. So the hard truth is, your good intentions don't automatically create a positive impact. So if good intentions aren't enough, then what is? The answer is a whole new framework, one that's built not on your desire to communicate, but on a deep commitment to creating safety first. Because really, without that foundation of safety, no meaningful communication can ever happen. Let's take a look at what that framework involves. All right, this framework has 5 key steps. First up, acknowledge your role. Now, this is not about taking blame. It's about accepting the reality that your presence has an impact. Second, communicate predictably. Think short, calm messages with zero pressure to respond right away. Third, and this one is vital, give them control. Let them decide the when, the how, and even if communication happens. This gives them their sense of agency back. Fourth, always use I statements to express yourself so you don't trigger their defenses. And finally, be patient. Rebuilding a sense of safety is a marathon, not a sprint. Your calm consistency is the most powerful tool you have. So now that we have the framework, let's see how this actually translates into the words we use. Because our language can either build a bridge or put up a wall. It's all about making these small but incredibly powerful shifts in how we express ourselves. Here is a perfect example. Asking, "Why are you avoiding me?" just feels like a demand, doesn't it? It's an accusation. It puts the other person immediately on the defensive. But shifting to something like, "I want to connect in a way that feels safe and not stressful for you," does the exact opposite. It's an invitation. It shows you see their experience and you respect their emotional state. And let's look at one more. "You always avoid me." It's a generalization and it's an accusation. It's just asking for a conflict. But instead, if you frame it from your perspective, "I would like for us to maintain good contact," that's just an expression of your desire. It's not confrontational, and it's so much less likely to trigger that defensive, panicked response. It communicates your hope without making any demands. You know, it's also so important to recognize when a situation needs more support than you can give on your own. If the panic attacks are severe, or if communication has just completely broken down, involving a professional therapist is not a sign of failure, it's a sign of strength and immense care. A neutral third party can help create that structured, safe container for a dialogue that might just feel impossible to have on your own. We've covered a lot of ground here, from the psychology behind the reaction to specific language shifts, but if you're going to remember just one thing, one guiding principle to be your North Star in every single interaction, let it be this. Just let that sink in for a second. Communicate with attention, give control to the other, and never force contact. This simple mantra, it's the entire philosophy in a nutshell. It's about being mindful, respecting their autonomy, and letting go of your need for an immediate outcome. This right here is what it means to create safety. So let me leave you with a final, powerful question to think about. We often go into these conversations just desperate to be heard, to be understood. But what if we flipped that script? What if, in a situation like this one, the main goal wasn't to be understood at all, but simply to make the other person feel safe? How might that one single shift change absolutely everything?